Welcome back to the Build Day Live here at Supermicro. For this video, I'm joined by Forrest Preston. Welcome, Forrest.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
What is it that your role is here at Supermicro?
I'm a senior product manager for our Ethernet switching product line.
And that was a product line I was completely unaware of until I arrived here yesterday, and I was given this lovely little switch to connect our lab together. Tell us quickly what this is and how it fits in the wider collection of products that you have here for
This
Supermicro.
particular model is a 10 gig switch, 10 gig of SFP plus with 4 uplinks at 40 gig. It's part of the range we have that at the low end starts with a 1 gig switch, 48 ports of RJ45. And at the high end, we have our 100 gig Ethernet switch. And the latest introduction we have is a 25 gig switch, which we're quite excited about.
That's keeping the cost per port down at a reasonable level and
or less.
And so at the sort of bottom end would be typically that gig switch will be used for all of the management interfaces because you can't negotiate down slow enough on anything faster to get the management interfaces in. But it's all a consistent product set. It's a bunch of 1U servers. So no chassis switches.
Correct.
It's specifically all 1U, which tends to be the way data centers are being built now rather than the way they were built 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's
that 100 gig switch is the top end of what you have at the spine of a leaf spine architecture, and then the 25 gig now as the leaf connecting out to all of your compute nodes.
exactly right, yes.
Right. What's the management interface on these? What ways can I configure these?
Depending on the product, we generally speaking have both a command line interface, which is consistent with what you see on other leading edge switching vendors, as well as a graphical interface that's web-based. So we have with both options. People who are familiar with the CLI version can have that. People who are more comfortable with the graphical interface can use that.
Great. And I was looking at the graphical interface on this switch yesterday as we were configuring it up to work, and although I'm not a deep networking guy, I found it pretty easy to find where to set up the VLAN trunks and configure the various ports. It was pretty
That's good to hear.
simple.
That's the hope, that it's easy to use.
Yeah, I like easy to use. Are there sort of central management tools for groups of these, or are we still hitting the UI on each one?
At this point in time, we're just hitting the UI on each one.
Right.
We've got a plan to integrate it into a management system that's been developed for our Blade system switches, and that'll happen towards the end of this year.
So that's heading into the unified management across multiple sets of assets, which is part of the value. What other interesting and different products have you got in this? So you've got a variety of different switches in this one has the 25 gig uplinks. Presumably 40 there's 40 gig.
40 gig, yeah.
40 gig. I'm confusing my products now.
That's all right.
So
we've got a number of bare metal switches also, which come with no operating system, we've got them in a range starting with a 1 gig aggregation switch, 1 and 10 gigs, a 10 gig, 10 and 40 gig, and then the 100 gig switch that I mentioned that's got 32 ports of 100 gig. Those ports can actually be split. The 100 gigs can either operate at 40 gig or 100 gig, and then they can be split using cables into 4x10 or 4x25.
Right.
So it's a pretty powerful machine. And as I say, it's a bare metal switch, so you got to buy an operating system to go with it. And we're resellers for Cumulus Linux, which is certified. We're one of the members on their HCL, their hardware compatibility list.
So across that whole range, from the 100 gig all the way down to the 1 gig, I can have Cumulus.
We got the spine, we got whatever you want for a leaf.
Right. And if I don't want to go with something like Cumulus, then you've got an operating system that I can buy.
We have an operating system that's currently available on the 1 gig switch only. We haven't extended it to the other two yet.
Okay.
It's part of our things that we're looking at doing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Forrest. That was a great overview of a completely new product set to me. And
let's get the word out. We're happy to have you know about it now.
And I'm glad to hear that more of the unified management across the set, because one of the big value propositions from that integrated set is being able to manage from the same place. So I'm glad that's strongly in the roadmap, and hopefully we see a REST API into all of that, and so we can.
That's part of what we're doing, especially right now with the 25 gig switch.
Great, So that helps the story around the automation of the infrastructure in a large scale environment.
Okay.
Thank you, Forrest, and thank you all for joining us. Stay tuned for more Build Day Live at Supermicro.